Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for tuning in to our DV Talks today. I'm Ajay Chowdhury. I'm a Managing Director and Senior Partner at BCG Digital Ventures. We're the corporate innovation and business building arm of the Boston Consulting Group. So I'm really excited to have fantastically special guests with us today. I've got Sherry Coutu, who's the Digital Boost founder, who really got it all up and running, and we'll tell you more about in a minute. And I've got Krishna Mistry here, who's the founder of Mistry Lighting, which is a business that she launched in the middle of the pandemic. So it's wonderful to have two fantastic founders here today. But for those of you who may not have heard of Digital Boost, it's a free online platform that we launched during the pandemic. And the idea is to bring together leaders of small businesses and charities with a community of digital expert volunteers. It's a venture that's very close to my own heart because it was built with pro bono support from BCG Digital Ventures and our fantastic people who gave a lot of their time to get this up and running. But I'm going to hand over to Sherry first. Sherry, tell us a bit about the genesis of Digital Boost. Where did the idea come from? What did you set out to do?
Great, thanks very much, Ajay. And well, the idea came from you guys. So you actually sent me, I think I remember a text or an email saying, can we have a chat? You explained that you had a sort of a hackathon saying, we really want to do something about the pandemic. We've been inspired by some of the other, movements to getting volunteers to help out the NHS. Well, can you get an army of volunteers to help out people who run the small businesses because they're going to be hit really hard by this pandemic? And you came and said, we generally, this seems like a slight twist on what you've been doing at Founders for Schools for a while. And I hadn't thought about, a pivot of Founders for Schools from putting leaders of digital businesses into schools at the request of teachers, but was persuaded that you could take the leaders of, of professional services firms like BCG, like Google, like Visa, like MasterCard, who had been trained in digital, and make them available to the people who were running small businesses or starting up small businesses, because it wasn't that different. It was a platform. It was somebody asking and somebody saying, yeah, I'd love to volunteer my time. So the idea came from you guys, but I absolutely loved it. I proposed to the trustees of Founders for Schools as do you think we can take this small project and see if we can solve this problem? And it really ballooned from there. We were worried that many small businesses had to change their business model. They didn't have the digital skills, but we were also aware that there were a number of other people who had the training who just needed to be asked. So it seemed kind of perfect. I also found out about how charities also were suffering from a rapid need to upskill in digital. And it seemed like, well, if we're helping small businesses, we should also help charities because it's people just like you and I who are running small businesses and charities. So why don't we make the platform fit for everybody, which is what we did. We want to help all 6 million small businesses in the UK that have been impacted by COVID, which means they've suddenly discovered that they have a need to, learn a lot about digital, be it cyber skills, be it, Google Ads, be it, again, some of the things that Krishna is going to talk about shortly. And it seemed a good thing to do. So we want to help everyone. We are available for everyone. Anybody who has a web browser can point it at digitalboost.org.uk. And we have enough volunteers who have absolutely flooded in with incredible generosity to be there at any time of the day or night that someone from a small business asks. So I'm excited also that Krishna's here and want to hear your story, because we created this for people like you. And it seems like we've helped. So it's a good segue over to Krishna.
Fantastic. That's absolutely brilliant. Thanks so much, Sherry. So Krishna, welcome. So you run Mistry Lighting, which is, I think it's an independent lighting design company, and you set it up during the pandemic, which was incredible. But maybe if you could tell us a bit about your background, your experience with Digital Boost, and what you might say to other businesses there who are struggling to get to grips with digital.
Yeah, so thanks for having me. So just a background about myself. I am a lighting designer. I've done this for just over 10 years now, and across all sectors. And before the pandemic, I was working on predominantly restaurants and lighting schemes for restaurants. So when I got made redundant, it felt like the right time to start my own business, go solo, and every cloud has a silver lining. So this was what I went for. And a family friend of mine actually mentioned Digital Boost to me. It wasn't something I'd come across at the time. And it was genuinely the perfect timing for me, who has all this experience in lighting design, but absolutely no experience in running my own business. And there's so many questions I had to ask all these mentors that I spoke with during my time using the platform. And it was honestly, genuinely so helpful for me, especially to have that support. And it's a free platform, which is just incredible for a small business like myself. So something I definitely would say to other businesses is use the service, list out all the questions you have, because there are so many knowledgeable mentors on that platform. And even if it's something small, it could lead to, help that would be, it's invaluable advice, and I couldn't recommend it enough. It's helped me a ton.
And what did you actually use it for?
So it specifically for me was my social media platform, because it is such a visual industry that I'm in. I felt like that was the best platform to really share my work, and the mentors really guided me in how to share, how to really promote your posts and things you should tag, and real things that I just didn't know would cause a lot of I just had a lot of influx of followers at the time, and which then did lead to projects for me. So it was such a useful platform that I didn't realize, again, would help so much in starting your business. But yeah, Instagram and other social media channels are brilliant.
And
That's fantastic.
can I just you said mentors, so we love it when people come back and back and back and back and back. So you've spoken to a number of different mentors whenever something else was on your mind. So again, we're and not always the same one. Can you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, exactly. So I think something that when you do start your own business, what you don't realize is you need help on certain aspects of design. So for me, it was my social media for this business. And then as I went on, I realized, well, now I'm starting to network during this pandemic. How do I then approach people without meeting them? And then I went back onto the site to select that specific skill and found a mentor who then guided me in different techniques to use. So you don't come across like a saleswoman trying to just sell your services. It's like there's a way to do this properly, and they have the knowledge and they've got the experience. So it's really helpful that I keep learning, and the more I learn, the more I realize, I need more information on this aspect of my business. And then I jump onto the platform and find a mentor that's suited in that aspect of whatever I'm looking for. So it is really easy to use and really helpful. Especially, I think there's so many people like me as well who've set up their own business during this time, so it is perfect for them.
That's terrific. Actually, so while we're talking about the mentors, Sherry, maybe I can ask you, where did you get this army of mentors and volunteers? I mean, they've been a real lifeline for so many small businesses, as Krishna said. Where do they come from? What's in it for them? Are you still looking for volunteers to sign up?
We are still looking for, you can never have too many good volunteers, says I. So still would absolutely love more. And there are the 6 million businesses like Krishna's in the country who have questions on their mind. They can't sleep at night because something's in there. It's like, is it social media? Is it cybersecurity? You don't really know what's going to keep you up at night until it keeps you up at night. And I'd be perfectly happy for, if you had a sleepless night, to think, this is when I need to turn to Digital Boost. There's thousands of them, Ajay. They come from, some of them, we started with you, BCG Digital Ventures, and I think we've got 70 or 80 of your colleagues that are on the platform that on average make themselves available between 2 and 4 hours a week, which is amazing to me. We've Google, Oxford University, Visa, BT, NatWest, Barclays, again, sort of Apple. Most tech companies and most professional services firms have, some dozens. We have some firms who have hundreds of people who volunteer over the platform. And We do put the person who's in the driver's seat is Krishna. So it's a, what's on your mind? Tell us when you're available. And then we will go look for the volunteers. When the volunteers sign up, they tell us what they're an expert in. So Krishna, if you want social media, you're going to get somebody who is a social media specialist. If it's cybersecurity, we won't show you any social media people, but we'll go through the, you know, maybe there's 200 or 300 that have that. And we ask what time, you know, are you available? And then we make matches, and we usually get most matches, 95% of matches come within 72 hours of the request being made, because we don't want our people to be having too many sleepless nights for too long. And we want you to resolve those issues. There are 55 different expert categories. So Krishna, when you're through your, you know, your social media and, you know, you find out what your next thing is, I hope you turn to us. Because again, as digitizing and learning how to rapidly scale up a business and grow it, as customers ask you new questions that you hadn't thought about, you know, it's not the first time, you know, there will be people who want to help. Sometimes we've got people that volunteer 40 hours a week. So they were furloughed. There are some highly skilled digital experts who were furloughed, and they turn to us because they still like working, but this time they, you know, they volunteer their time, you know, until they find, you know, until they go back off furlough, which may be quite soon from judging from the recent announcements. The thing that I love the most is that the volunteers get a huge amount of enjoyment by giving back to people in their community. It's nice to be asked, you know, how to do something by, you know, that you really know how to do, and to volunteer and to give back. We heard a lot of, geez, I want to know what I want to do, but I don't want to go paint a fence. I don't really feel that comfortable about taking a, you know, a food bag, you know, to, you know, from one place to another. But I am an expert, and I'm happy to connect to anyone on, you know, on Zoom, or, you know, sometimes it's Zoom, sometimes it's Teams, sometimes it's Google Meets. It doesn't matter. The volunteers put in what you know, video formatting thing they want to use, and then we make the connection. But it, you know, you, by mentoring and by offering your time, you are giving back. And there is, I think, in many of us, a deep-seated need to help out those in our community. This is easy. It's like an hour of your time. You don't have to do homework because it's something you're an expert in. You know, one of them is the expert in, the other one isn't yet. And I think also the impact of knowing that Krishna is going to jump on this and put it into, you know, implementation immediately. You know, this isn't a theoretical question that you're asking, Krishna. This is, you know, mission critical. And I personally love, if someone's asking you a question, to know that they're going to act on it. There's a lot to be said for that.
And what's it been like being an entrepreneur, Krishna? I mean, you know, as you said, you've been doing this for a long time, and now you've started your own business. Is it something you want to keep going once we're out of this pandemic, or do you want to go back to the way you were doing it before, do you think?
I don't think I could ever go back. I am enjoying this far too much. No, it's brilliant. It's brilliant to be your own boss. It's brilliant to really, I have values that I really want to bring out in my projects, whether it's sustainable design and where I source all my lighting from. And it's something that's really important to me. And now I can really implement that on all my designs. So it's been brilliant. I've learned a lot, and I'm still learning, but it's, yeah. And for me, one day I'd love to be so experienced that I could be a mentor on the platform and share, you know, my story and my experiences. But I think I still have a long way to go. But so far, it's been great. It's been really great.
That's fantastic. Sherry, last question for you, from me. You know, it's a year and a bit into COVID. Unfortunately, it's still with us. If you kind of reflect back on your first year, you know, tell us some of the biggest achievements, you know, and what's next for Digital Boost? Once we're out of COVID, will it keep going? And maybe you can also tell us a bit about Founders for School, which is kind of one of your other big businesses you've started, because it's kind of similar as well, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So the biggest achievement, well, we as you know, with very much with BCGDV's help, we had a functioning platform up from you contacted me in early April. We had a platform that was being used by businesses like Krishna's by the 9th of June. That's a huge accomplishment. You know, and yes, we were building on things that, you know, you guys knew how to do, and we knew how to do, you know, at Founders for Schools, but that's pretty amazing. So from idea to thousands of people in small businesses are turning to this because they'd heard about it in June is massive. And I've never quite spun something up so quickly from idea to functioning prototype. And yes, we've ironed out lots of issues that arose that needed to, and it's a lot more friendly now, Krishna. It's a lot easier probably for you to use now than it was back in June. But I love how quickly we got it. And also that I don't know if you've gone to the master classes or the workshops, Krishna, but we've got, in addition to mentoring, we've got the workshops, and we also have short courses. And the generosity of people who have content and courses and workshops all piling in to help this is absolutely amazing to me. I do think it's possible that the 6 million people who run small businesses can find it a lot easier if they turn to this platform. And I also don't see any likelihood that they won't be able to find someone within 72 hours if they turn to us. People get a kick out of helping. Even though they're not being paid, they love helping out folks in their community. And as long as they know that it's a small business person who is going to act on that advice, they'll keep on giving. So I think it's that from idea to functioning real platform in 6 weeks is amazing to me. And the feedback from people like Krishna and the volunteers, I don't know if you know what a net promoter score is, but on average, it's in the 90s. So people love using it, and the people who are helping, the volunteers, love helping on it. So that causes me great joy as a product person. That causes me great joy. Founders for Schools, we are now training teachers. So teachers want to understand about something, they can come for mentoring as well, which increases their confidence about talking to their students about it. I wasn't really anticipating that we would be used by teachers to explain what those small businesses do, but what is a role in a small business? It's like, well, hey, you can actually, speak to someone about it. It's like, well, what is agile? Well, why don't you just, come and ask. So I like that. We've done another thing where we've introducing work experience, so teams of work experience. So, Krishna, I don't know if you've used that yet, but if you need a team of students to help you with your socials, implement, you can get teams of students who are at university to help you, be they Oxford or Cambridge or London Business School. There's hundreds of university students who want to get real work experience, and they're happy to get it while working for small companies, but they don't know how to find those companies that need those things. So it's kind of fun. I wasn't expecting, I had no idea when I answered that email that you sent over to me, Ajay, where one might be in a year, but we're in a very different place, mobilizing tens of thousands of people from, big businesses who've had training to help out their, again, tens of thousands and shortly hundreds of thousands of people running their own small businesses. I love it. I love the impact that it has. And I love the generosity in our community to help out.
Absolutely brilliant. And how's it funded? Because it's completely free, isn't it? So how do you actually fund it? Is it funded by government or grants or?
It has been funded by the government and by grants, but some of our larger corporate partners like the reporting. They want to know if hundreds of their employees are putting in thousands of hours helping out small businesses because they've made a commitment to that. And we've put together very granular reporting so that you can see, how many, how many, and that helps them give back to their community. There's many, often businesses encourage their employees to volunteer, but they don't really know what they do or who they do it with or how effective it is. And I guess because of the background in tech, everything being on the platform means you can really see, that at a granular basis. So it's by reporting fees to the large companies who have hundreds of people volunteering. So they find that useful. And there are also donations. There's a number of companies that donate per, that donate per the number of hours. So if 1,000 of my employees are going to volunteer once a week, well, that's worth it to us because it's valuable to them, and we can see that. But the DCMS was the first funder, as it were, the first government, and they really enabled us to hire engineers, because we were all, as you know, during the project, we were all volunteers. There were hundreds of us volunteering, all building this thing. And then it's like, well, we probably need to employ some people, and that funding came from the government. And now other funding is coming from the employers who find it really helpful to help out. I hope to never have to charge people like Krishna to use the service. I think it is so helpful that you could charge for it, but I'd really prefer to not have to charge in the future. And there's it helps people, adults, upskilling, learning just ahead of their customer needs to be confident in making that next step. That's what I want. As I was when I started out in business a long time ago, there were so many things I didn't know. I wish I'd have a service like Digital Boost when I started out. And so I want it to be available for everybody. It should be easy to reach out to a mentor you don't know. It should be. That generosity is there. And it now is easy, which is cool to have started. Well, you thought it up, but we've made it together with a whole lot of other people helping.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Well, listen, this has been a brilliant conversation. I'm going to see if we've got some questions from the audience. I think there might be a couple. So here's one for you, Krishna. Look, it was a tricky time for you to start it, but particularly if you're trying to do stuff in the restaurant business, it was even trickier for restaurants that had closed down. Yeah. So did you get much business from your Instagram account?
Yeah, so that's actually what surprised me. I don't think I expected that that's where most of my work would come from. And when I did get advice from Digital Boost, something they had said to me was like, don't be afraid to approach other accounts, send them direct messages. And that is exactly what I did. And it's something that is not, I wouldn't have thought to do that. And I assumed people would just come to me, but nope, that's not the case. I approached them, and it has brought me a lot of work. At the moment, it's predominantly residential. I think the restaurant industry is still building up, being back open again. So I think that will take a while, but it's so nice to know there's another sector that I could still work within, and that is still bringing me a lot of projects through Instagram. And I think, yeah, again, Instagram is another great platform to be promoting your work, sharing your everyday, day at work. And I think people like to see that. So yeah, it has brought me, I think, I would say 85% of my projects have come straight through Instagram.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's residential. So people are you're designing lighting for people's homes.
Yeah, that's fun. It. Homes, gardens.
Oh, what fun. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
And here's a final question for you, Sherry. Gosh, this is getting a lot more serious. So do you think that we'll ever see a day where the UK doesn't lag behind Europe when it comes to digital skills?
Absolutely. Because of Digital Boost. So I think that's absolutely the case. There's a number of different examples where we have overtaken Europe. So it used to be that we lagged in having companies start up. And then it used to be, again, lagged Europe. And then England used to lag Europe on scaling up companies. And we're now the leader, all other countries behind don't even add up to it. So I definitely think that we have in our sights this generosity of, if there's people who are willing to ask, and there's people who are willing to, share their skills, and you can remove all of that friction. Platforms are made to remove friction from markets that are really naturally there. The generosity is there. The need to upskill is there. So yes, and when will it be? I don't know if it'll be in 3 months or 6 months, but other countries don't have this platform, although they could. But yes, if people keep on asking, and we start up and scale up a lot more businesses in this country than the rest of Europe combined. So the need is probably a little bit greater in the UK here because we're supporting it. But yeah, we should overtake them. And then I can see, Krishna, you coming on absolutely as a mentor and sharing with others how you did it. And I think, if we're a recipient of generosity, that also means that we kind of almost have an obligation, once we feel able, of also being generous and helping others who also need a hand. So yes, resounding absolute yes. I'm certain that we will.
Fantastic. Well, listen, I think that might be all we have time for today. But Sherry, before we go, if there are any businesses or volunteers who want to know about Digital Boost, where should they go?
They should come online, and the address is http://digitalboost.org.uk. And that's, well, Digital Boost and boosting by digital.org, because we're not a company, we're a charity.uk, because that's where we started.
Fantastic. And Krishna, where can people find you if they want amazing lighting in their gardens or homes or restaurants?
Yeah, so my website is www.mistrylighting.com. That's Mistry spelled M-I-S-T-R-Y. And I am on all social media channels. So if you search Mistry Lighting, you'll find me there too.
Fantastic. Well, listen, Sherry and Krishna, it's been a wonderful pleasure talking to you. And thanks to everyone who's tuned in. Thanks so much, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
You take care.